Hello, and welcome back to Breck to the Future, a podcast where we are spotlighting builders that are tackling the world's biggest challenges with bold ideas, and they're really dreaming big. I am your host, Travis Nyer, and after a unintended 3-week break, I am thrilled to be back with episode 5. So today we're diving into another builder spotlight. As it's been a minute, the episode prior to this was talking about civilization drags. Episode 3 was our first builder spotlight, which focused on Icon, the company that is 3D printing homes and building new villages and new subdivisions. But today, again, another builder spotlight. And this is the format where we go deep on a company that's building a real world solution to a real world problem. Now, today, this is spotlighting a company that has been going bold with what I think is one of the most misunderstood bets in all of tech, and that's the humanoid robot. So today's question is essentially, what if the next leap in productivity doesn't come from an app, but it comes from a walking robot that shows up to work? So today we're going to be talking about Figure, a company that's building humanoid robots to reshape how we work. And it's starting in warehouses and factories. They're going to be tackling the labor shortages head on. And as a fellow Illinoisian, someone that hails from Illinois, I am extra pumped because Figure's CEO, Brett Adcock, also hails from my home state. So, I mean, I really love the Midwest hustle that is making all this news right now. So, buckle up as we explore how robots and robotics might transform the 20 million manual jobs in the United States, what this means for workers, and why it might be one of the most exciting but also misunderstood moments in tech. So let's get to it. So first, want to talk about the labor shortage crisis that we have, and let's set the stage. So right now, the United States is facing a massive labor shortage across logistics, manufacturing, agriculture, healthcare, just to name a few. That's roughly 20 million jobs that are going to be involved in this manual labor. And some estimates have that by 2030, 2 million of those jobs that are going to be unfilled will be in manufacturing alone. So, why is this happening? Well, first and foremost, there is an aging workforce. We're seeing fewer workers entering the trades. And I mean, the harsh truth of this is that many of those jobs are exhausting, right? They're dangerous. They're also deeply underappreciated, which as a society, I really think we need to shift and rethink that. But on the other hand, I mean, who really dreams of lifting boxes in a warehouse for 12 hours a day in 100-degree heat? Done that, I totally get it. But so here's the opportunity. What if we could fill those gaps without burning out humans in our population? What if we could free people from that physical strain but not sacrifice any productivity? Well, that is where robotics are coming in. And Figure is one of many companies that are stepping up. So when the workforce shrinks and the jobs continue to stay hard and they've not gotten any easier or more palatable for your day to day, I mean, something clearly has to give. And, for better or worse, and we'll talk about both sides of that coin, that seems to be robots and humanoid robotics. So let's talk about this builder that's behind this bold bet when we're discussing humanoid robotics. So Figure, enter Figure, founded by Brett Adcock, again, Illinoisan. He is a serial entrepreneur with a record of moonshots. So before Figure, Adcock had co-founded Archer Aviation, which is an electric flying aircraft company that went public recently. It has a multi-billion dollar valuation. You may have seen them in the news recently as well, doing a lot of great things. Before Archer Aviation, he built Vettery, which was a job matching platform that was acquired for over $100 million. Now, in 2022, Adcock stepped down from Archer for all intents and purposes, he went dark and suddenly reemerged with this new obsession, which was solving labor shortages with humanoid robots. And this wasn't a hobby project, right? He personally self-funded the first $100 million to get Figure off the ground. Does that sound like another entrepreneur that is in the news almost every day? It's definitely is what skin in the game looks like. So Figure is based in Sunnyvale, California, but Adcock, he is a Midwestern native, as I said earlier. And he's building this company with a kind of urgency and focus that is rare even for Silicon Valley. He is definitely betting big. So the robot, Figure One and Figure Two, made headlines in 2024 and more recently this year when they were deployed at a BMW plant in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Now, this robot was doing real tasks like handling sheet metal, which can be a very dangerous job. Um, Stepping forward from that moment, by February of this year, 2025, they had raised $1.5 billion in a funding round that valued the company at almost 40 billion. Now, that's not hype money. That's an institutional belief in a new category of labor, one we're very excited to see. So, what makes Figure special? Well, first off, they have an AI native hardware. What does that mean? Well, these robots are using machine learning to help them tackle tasks in hours, not weeks. They also have a human-based design. So they're built to operate in spaces that have already been designed for us, factories, stairs, forklifts. So not a lot has to change within already existing settings based on what he's building and his team is building. Speaking of his team, he does have a top tier team. He has recruited talent from Boston Dynamics, from Tesla Autopilot, from Google DeepMind. It's so this clearly is not like a chatbot wrapper, right? This is hardware first. This is mission driven, mission focused first, and it's definitely built for impact, not impressions. This is one of those companies, like we talked about in previous episodes, it is not focused on things that I don't believe matter, right? We don't need another DoorDash. We don't need another dog walking app. They certainly have their place, but we don't need those areas of competition. We need companies like Figure that are purely focused on what is going to make an overall lasting and dramatic impact on civilization and society as a whole. And to echo my earlier statement, I mean, Adcock didn't take his earnings and then just disappear and do his own thing. He's betting it all on robots. And this is why we really should be paying attention to what he's bringing to the table. If you really want to know what a builder looks like in this day and age, you need to start here with Figure and what Adcock's doing. So, um, I mean, but that also asks the question, like, what happens when you put a robot into jobs that are built for humans? And, ultimately, what does that mean for the people that have been doing this work for decades? Want to talk about that next here. So, robots, I mean, all intents and purposes, they sound amazing, right? But let's be real. Like, what does happen to those humans that are doing the jobs today? Um, on the one hand, automation is going to be able to eliminate dangerous and exhausting work. I mean, lifting a 50-pound package for hours, on end, 12-hour a day shifts, or working in some of these sub-zero warehouses. I mean, to have something else do that on your behalf, that is a win. But on the other hand, displacement is real, right? And that's a lot of what's being discussed, and that's a lot of the dystopian scenarios that we see a lot of media coverage on, which I feel as a society, it's okay to accept that and understand it, but we should really rage against it. We shouldn't be focused on the negatives. We should be focused on the positives, right? Everything is getting this dystopian, Black Mirror-esque approach. We should be really looking for a more utopian, harmonious coexistence, for lack of a better word, like a white mirror approach to all of this. But we can't help but call out the displacement is going to be real, right? When automation shows up, this means people are going to eventually need support, right? They're going to need retraining, career mobility. I mean, ultimately, they're going to need their dignity, right? But not every company gets that. And that's something that we're going to be looking for in the future as well. Figure's current deployments are collaborative, and that's what's encouraging. They're not replacement based, right? At BMW, robots are being seen as augmenting the workforce. They're not gutting it. And that's the balance that ultimately matters. But we've faced this before, right? Like a very simple explanation or example, ATMs, they didn't replace tellers, they just refined the job. That's an example. When we built, factories, when we built, instead of using cattle and the plow for agriculture, it didn't necessarily replace people. It just augmented the job that they learned to harmoniously work together with whatever that tool was, right? It's like fire. It can be used for good or for bad. We want to focus on the good that this can be used in our day and age. So the question really isn't robots or people, it's how do we design the transition with humans at the centerfold? I would love to hear your take on this, right? Hit me on X, hashtag Builder Spotlight or Robots with Purpose. Let me know what you think. Let me know what areas you think. I think we've already got one shout out about weeding, which being in the Midwest, in fact, when I'm done here, that's what I've got to go do is some weeding. Would love to have a robot that was able to do that. So, um, so while we want to acknowledge the potential issues and complications and also reformatting of our civilization with these robots, we want to be optimistic about the future. So let's zoom out. I mean, imagine a world where labor shortages don't bottleneck growth, right? Where physical help is available 24/7, there's no burnout, there's no injury. Figure is planning on shipping 100,000 robots in the next 4 years. That's not just ambition, that is a blueprint for a new kind of workforce. And again, this isn't about replacing people, it's about releasing them from the monotonous grind, from the pain, from the work that is crushing their bodies, but it's barely paying the bills. For the most part, we all know someone or a group of people that have been affected by this. And this is an opportunity to move away from that. It's going to take a societal shift, but I'm confident that we're up to the challenge. So, let's fast forward to 2035, right? Like just dream with me here for a second. Picture this. It's 2035. You've got this logistics center that's running 24/7. It's got 60 robots. It's got a handful of human supervisors. There are no injuries. There's no labor shortage headlines. There's no burnout. I mean, this is ultimately what Figure is betting on. And I hate to put it this, maybe even glibly, but this could be our moon landing, right? But it's for labor. What's going on in warehouses and manufacturing facilities. This is an incredible opportunity, especially all this dialogue around the United States bringing manufacturing and automation home and not relying on other countries. Like this is a part of the calculus. This is a part of the equation, one of the main variables. And so what Figure is doing here is incredible. Um, where does this go? I mean, yes, we've talked about warehouses, we've talked about manufacturing. Could it go to construction? Could it be in healthcare? Maybe even caregiving. I mean, we're only at the beginning, and we have to crawl before we walk, before we run. There's this great video out that Brett Adcock released recently, and it is an hour long of the Figure 2 at an Amazon, I believe it's at an Amazon warehouse, and it is sorting packages by itself and is doing exactly what's asked from it that a human would have done. It did that for an hour straight, did not pause, kept going. Like, this is incredible. Like, yes, that may be replacing a job, but that's an opportunity for that individual to go find a new job within the organization and upskill themselves. So we need to start looking at the positives. And I think Figure could definitely be one of those companies that we look to as far as how do we make this better? So everything that we've discussed, we're incredibly excited and optimistic here. Discussing these labor shortages being tackled by $1 billion robotics startup. I mean, Figure is showing us what's possible when a real builder puts their money, their talent, and their time solving the hard problems. So, excited to have taped this, excited to be back. And if you're as excited about the future of robotics as I am, please let me know. Let's talk. If you know of companies that I should be showcasing and spotlighting, would love to hear that. Um, Want to end this episode with, a question, and it'll be on X as well. But what's one job that you would give to a robot? What's one outside the box opportunity that you think automation and robotics could challenge? What would you like to even see yourself be freed up to do? I'm going to be reading every reply. So until next time, keep building, stay curious, and let's make this future happen. This is Travis. I'm signing off from Breck to the Future. Looking forward to connecting you on the next one. Thanks.